Golden Blue Dude here with you again. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, especially if you're a college football fan. I make videos every single day, sometimes multiple videos depending on how active the day is or what kind of mood I'm in. So, if you don't like this video, maybe you'll like one of my other videos. So this video is about the group of five, also known as the non-power fives, the teams that have a chance to make the playoffs or win the national championship. And I will say this first. If they don't do it this year, then I think they need to create their own playoffs and their own national championship, because that's basically saying that they have zero chance of winning any type of national championship. The FCS has their own, the Power 5 has their own, and if you're going to keep the group of five out, they need to have their own. So the three teams that have the best chance to get into the playoffs or win the national championship this year, the first one is Appalachian State. They do have a new head coach, Sean Clark, so that can be a little tricky. But the best quarterback in the Sun Belt from last year, quarterback Zach Thomas, he's back. He's only one of five quarterbacks last year that threw for over 20 touchdowns and rushed for over 10 touchdowns. He was 159 for 254 on his passing. That's 62.6%. Threw for 2,718 yards, 28 touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions. But he also rushed for 504 yards and 10 touchdowns. Now, they're going to do a running back by committee this year, but any one of these running backs could have 1,000 yards or more this coming season. Marcus Williams Jr., Dietrich Harrington, and Cameron Peoples. 3 great running backs. Any one of them 1,000 yards easily. We'll see. They also have 2 great receivers coming back. Corey Sutton, last year he had 41 receptions, 601 yards, 7 touchdowns. To go alongside with him is Thomas Hennigan, 61 receptions for 773 yards and 6 touchdowns. 4 of their 5 offensive linemen, their starters from last year, will be back, and 3 of those 4 were named Sun Belt All-Team, and those 3 are Noah Hannon, Cooper Hodges, and Bear Hunter. You gotta love that name, Bear Hunter. Real name, yes. Defense. Last year they were 26th in the nation in total D, but they do lose a lot of talent. However, their strength will be the D-line, and it will be anchored by Demetrius Taylor. Last year he had 7 sacks with 3 forced fumbles. To go alongside of him is George Blackstock and Caleb Sperlin. They'll be fine at quarterback with Sean Jolly. Last year he had 5 interceptions. And Shamir Jean Charles. Now, the linebacker is where they're a little thin, but they do get team leader on defense, DeMarco Jackson. Last year he had 60 tackles and 3 sacks. So let's look at their schedule real quick. It's not that bad of a schedule. Home against Charlotte, at Marshall, home against Campbell, home against Louisiana Lafayette. That's important because Louisiana Lafayette is going to be good in the Sun Belt. At Georgia Southern, home against Arkansas State, at Louisiana Monroe, at Texas State, home against Georgia State, at Coastal Carolina, and home against Troy. I think if Appalachian State goes undefeated and say Oklahoma has 2 losses, or there's only 3 1-loss or undefeated, they should get in. Unless one of these other 2 teams can do it. So next on the list is Central Florida. And Josh Hoople has done a great job coming in after Scott Frost left. He has back-to-back 10-plus win seasons. And he has a great quarterback coming back, Dylan Gabriel. Last year he threw for 3,653 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Last year, Central Florida was second in the nation in total offense, averaging 540 yards a game and 43 points per game. They also will be doing a running back by committee. They have Otis Anderson, Greg McCray, and Bentavious Thomas, but I don't think theirs is as potent as Appalachian State. I will say that. Now, they lost wide receiver Gabriel Davis. He left for the NFL, but they do get the second best receiver back, and that's Trey Nixon. Last year he had 830 yards of catching and 7 touchdowns. They also, to go along with him, they have Jacob Harris, who is 6'5", tremendous hands, Marlon Williams, and the Oklahoma transfer Jalen Robinson. And good news to go along with that is 3 of the 5 offensive linemen from last year's great offensive line will be back. Defense is where UCF will thrive. They will be great on defense this year. 4 of last year's 5 defensive backs are back, including safeties Richie Grant, Antoine Collier, and cornerbacks Neville Clark and Aaron Robinson. There's a lot of depth on the D-line, including defensive ends Randy Charlton and Tremont Morris Brash. And the teeth of the defensive line will feature Kenny Turner, and Kalia Davis. And the best linebacking duo in the AAC will be back, and that's Eric Mitchell and Eric Gilliard. Let's look at their schedule real quick. They start out on the road at Georgia Tech, which is a Power 5, but they're a bad Power 5, so I think Central Florida will win that game. At East Carolina, home against Tulsa, at Memphis. There's your season, Central Florida. At Memphis. You have to win that game if you want any chance of getting into the playoffs. Home against Tulane, at Houston, home against Temple. I think if you go to Memphis and you beat Memphis, then you will beat Temple at home, and you will beat Cincinnati at home. So that's why I say your season comes down to the at Memphis game. And then to finish off the season at South Florida. I think Central Florida has a great chance to make it to the playoffs. They just have to go to Memphis and beat the Tigers. Last but not least, Cincinnati. People don't realize this. I've been saying Luke Fickell is going to be called on by better teams in the future, but guess what? He just got extended to 2026. Well done, Cincinnati. That's how you get it done. He had 11 years last year and 11 wins in 2018. He's a great coach. Last year he beat UCF, and I think that seemed like the UCF, the Knights, were passing the torch to Cincinnati. We'll see if that holds up this year. Running back Michael Warren III, talented running back, decided to go to the NFL. That's okay. They do get running back Jared Dukes back. He had 526 yards and 5 touchdowns. And they do get the Alabama transfer running back Jerome Ford. They have a pretty good quarterback. Not as good as Central Florida, but pretty good. Desmond Ridder, he's back. He was 194 for 311. That's 62.4%. Threw for 2,445 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. And he improved greatly from 2018. So if that trend continues, he will be right up there with Dylan Gabriel of Central Florida. We'll see, though. The go-to receiver, Alec Pierce, he's back. And to go along with him is Notre Dame transfer Michael Young and an Arkansas transfer Jordan Jones. So at the wide receiver position, they do have people that are experienced in the Power 5 where there's a little bit more speed. Now, I do think the offensive line will actually be their strength. They added Michigan transfer James Hudson, and anchoring that offensive line with him is Jakari Robinson and Darius Harper. Last year, defense, pretty stinking good for Cincinnati. They were 24th in scoring defense, only allowing 20.6 points per game, and 40th in total defense, only allowing 360 yards per game. Now, the D-line is back, so I expect that to be solid. Safety James Wiggins, he's back from injury. And to go along with him is cornerback Ahmad Gardner, safety Javon Hicks. He had 5 interceptions last year. Cornerback Kobe Bryant. No, not that Kobe. His is spelled C-O-B-Y. Cornerback Arquan Bush. And safety Derek Forrest. The only questions will be at linebacker. So if Cincinnati can figure out the questions at linebacker, they most definitely can go undefeated and try to slide into the playoffs. So here we go. Let's look at their schedule. Home against Austin Peay. Home against Army. That'll be an early test. Home against South Florida. At Tulsa. At SMU. That could be a little tricky, especially coming off a home win or a road win against Tulsa. Home against Memphis. So they also have to play Memphis, but they get Memphis at home. I think they win that game. Home against Houston. Home against East Carolina. And then at Central Florida and at Temple. I think that game at Central Florida could actually end up being repeated in the AAC Championship. And you better hope that the loser of that game doesn't come back and win it in the championship game, because you better believe that would knock the AAC out of any chance of the playoffs. So, beating, if it's Central Florida, beating Cincinnati twice, and Temple, and Memphis, undefeated, yes, my opinion, good enough to get to the playoffs and contend for a national championship. Same thing with Cincinnati. If they can beat Central Florida twice, and Memphis, and Temple, I think they deserve to go to the playoffs. And that's my opinion. And like I said before, with the Big Ten and the Pac-12 out, this is probably their best chance. And if it doesn't happen, I think that the Group of 5, also known as the Non-Power 5, should have their own national championship, their own playoffs, because the FCS has it, the Power 5 has it, and if you're saying they have no chance, they need to create their own so they can have some type of national championship. I think it's only fair. That's all I got for you for this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next video.